Hi folks, Kevin here. So I want to ask you to think about something, right? If you want massive gains in a short amount of time, what are the main ways to do so? I would argue there's two ways. Number one is to buy and hold altcoins that have a small market cap and haven't rocketed that much yet. And number two is to margin trade or use leverage per se. Of course, I hold Bitcoin like all of you guys and Ethereum probably as well. But those are much slower moving than they did back in the early days. And while there is still potential gains for 10x or 100x, it's going to be much longer than some of you guys want to wait. So for those of y'all who want adrenaline rushes and to just get much faster gains or losses in a shorter period of time, those two options I stated earlier are the most apparent approaches. And in this video, I'm going to cover them both, share the pros and cons and other considerations. And so if you're curious to hear more about this topic, you know what to do. Sit back, relax, and just keep on watching. Okay, so for this video, do want to thank our sponsors for our channel, Bityard Exchange, a contracts trading exchange from Singapore. And if you haven't watched my other videos about them, you should, like this one up here. And I'll also link them at the end of this video too. But just as a quick overview for this video, I'm going to cover the pros of holding altcoins, the cons of that, the pros of margin or leverage trading, and the cons of that. And then touch on my other considerations and thoughts on each one. And if you think I missed anything, please write me down below so I can just make note of that for the future. But let's dive right into altcoin holding pros, right? Number one is that this requires lower maintenance than like active trading or with margin. You can just hold or HODL per se. So after you purchase those coins, you can just sit on them in your wallet or on the exchange. Much less active management needed. Number two is something that's fun for altcoins, really. It's really memeable, right? Like you have the Link Marines for Chainlink. You have people doing Dogecoin memes all over Twitter. It's really fun and creative and a lot of memeability for these altcoin projects. Number three is that there's less of a risk compared to margin trading for you to lose it all in a short period of time. Because while altcoins can go to zero and drop a lot in a day, it's very few and far in between for it to drop like all the way, like 100% in a single day or so. Usually it takes some time. It goes like down and then back up and then down a little more if it's on a downtrend and headed to zero, right? So it doesn't happen immediately is my point. Number three is that compared to the other option of margin trading, there is potentially simpler accounting. Since you're just buying and holding, you can connect it to some tax and accounting software and it can figure it out pretty simply. And number five is that there is ability to arbitrage in the altcoin space. And what I mean by that is that if you have like private information or unfettered access or better speed than people, then you can get in on projects earlier before they rocket, before everyone else comes in and then sells at the top per se. So those are how I see the pros of holding altcoins compared to margin trading. Now, what about the cons though? Number one is that you probably have to manage a lot of different exchanges and wallets. Back in the day when I bought and hold altcoins, I had like 5 different wallets with backup keys and like 10 different exchanges. It was a pain in the butt, let me tell you that. Number two is that because you are getting all these different altcoins and so forth, there's a lot more transactions needed to execute your plans, right? And if you want to rebalance, you have to do that too, which can take a lot of transactions. Number three, in terms of cons, is there are risks of exit scams and smart contract hacks, right? Exit scams, if the company has a lot of coins and they decide to just exit and dump all their coins on the market, make it go close to zero and no longer manage the project anymore, that's always a possibility. We've seen that in the past before, especially with those smaller ones and the really great scammers trying to get all of us, right? The other half of this is just smart contract hacks. If they didn't take a good time auditing and just making sure their smart contract is solid, hackers may exploit those and like drain the tokens or print a lot more and make yours worthless. Number 4 is like, what can you do in a bear market? Because the point of hodling altcoins is that yes, it could get you 10 to 100x gains, but if it's on a downtrend, a bear market, then it might not do well at all. Even if you hold, it'll just keep on draining in value, and you're not sure which ones will ever recover because they're never guaranteed to. And then lastly, number 5 in terms of cons for holding altcoins, some of them just have a lot lower volume, it's manipulated, and because of that, it's harder to chart trade and use technical analysis. You just have to like speculate and cross your fingers per se. So next up, let's move to margin trading or using leverage, and consider that in comparison to holding altcoins, which is the first approach to massive gains in short amount of time, like I was mentioning. Number 1 pro is that you can just stick to the popular coins you're familiar with. Stick to BTC USD, Ether USD, XRP USD, things like that, right? You don't have to go into some random coins. You can stick to the ones you're familiar with, the most popular ones, the most established ones. Number 2, it's better for chart traders and technical analysts just because there's a lot more price discovery going on, a lot more volume, a larger market, and other people partaking in this price discovery. Number 3 is that with margin and leverage, you can profit in both directions. You can open a long position or open a short position and profit in both ways of directions. And that's not the case if you're just buying and holding, right? You can swing trade and sell into fiat, but that's about it. You can't make more USD value when it's dropping down. Number 4, with leverage, you can also get larger gains with a smaller initial balance, right? That's the whole purpose of leverage. With like 0.1 Bitcoin, you can trade as if you had one whole Bitcoin in your balance. And number 5, it's just faster action, because if there's a lot of volatility, which usually in the crypto space there is, that's a trader's dream, right? You can utilize the volatility, have fast action, and you don't have to wait a long time to go one way or another and see what's the result of your trade. But there are some cons, of course, right? There's 2 sides to every story. In terms of margin trading, number 1 is that a lot of active management is required, right? You have to pay close attention. If you're doing it for a short time, which usually people are, you should sit there and watch and manage it so that if it starts going in the wrong direction, you can react. Number 2 is that you need to utilize things like stop losses properly, or else you might get liquidated, because with margin, you're pretty much borrowing money to trade with a bigger balance. And if it goes the wrong direction and you don't set stop losses, they may take your underlying collateral at a certain level. Number 3, and this topic could be its own video, but I just want to mention at a high level that tax and accounting may require some extra care if you're margin trading, especially in the United States. Some software may help you with that, but that's definitely more complicated. So do keep that in mind if you ever decide to try that out. Last but not least, number 4 for margins. One potential negative is that they do often have higher fees, because you're charged a fee on the total amount, including your leverage and margin, right? Rather than if you're just buying and holding, your fee is on that small balance or that bite-sized chunk, right? So that is something to keep in mind when calculating your rough expected gains or losses for that. And so I want to hear what your thoughts are on the pros and cons for both sides, and what you prefer, especially if you've done both. If you are a margin trader or leverage trader, one great place to trade contracts is on BitYard. I want to show you around it shortly just to take a look. So for those of you who haven't watched my BitYard tutorial and review videos yet, this is what their trading interface looks like. It's super easy. They have a demo mode. You can just go use the slider to change your leverage, add the amount, put your take profit and stop loss levels, and buy and sell contracts with a single click. Super clear. There's a lot of options. They are well regulated, and I'll just link you below if you want to check them out. Please use my link if you are interested, for those of you who are in the market for a contracts or margin exchange. But yeah, that's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching my comparison between margin trading and holding altcoins. Let me know what you think. Please like this video, subscribe. I'm Kevin, and I'll catch you guys next time.